Hi, this is James. I'm the unofficial mayor of Cowboy Country, and I'd like to welcome you to the show. Today we're going to talk about the picks that I made last week. What did I get right, and what did I mess up on? Now, I'm not, by the way, any predictions I make are for entertainment purposes only. If you make bets based upon what I pick, you are taking a risk. That's your risk, not mine. It's your money, not mine. Anyway, so I ended up, out of the 12 games that I selected from, I went 9-3. And I'm pretty happy. Texas versus Alabama. I chose the Tide, and I should have been more specific that I felt that Texas would have won by spread, but I don't care about the spread. I'm just picking head up. This team versus this team. Who's going to win? So Alabama won, but by the skin of their teeth. Clearly, I think Gary Patterson's influence as a consultant really has made a difference because Texas played much better on defense. I was wrong about KU versus West Virginia. And guess what? I'm happy for KU. If you're a KU fan, congratulations. I actually hope that you guys make a bowl team. I thought you'd get 4 wins this year, but I'm pulling for KU to get to a bowl game because you guys deserve it. You haven't been in a while. Hopefully you get to go. K-State versus Mizzou. Wow, I did not think Kansas State was going to be that dominant. But I did pick Kansas State. And I did pick Texas Tech to beat Houston. Look, 50-50 game, you're going to have to give the nod to the home team. So if that game had been in Houston, I would have picked Houston. So there's not really a whole lot of thought into that one. BYU beat Baylor. Hey, I'll admit I was wrong on that one. It's very obvious to me, after watching some stuff on YouTube, that BYU took that loss to Baylor last year very personal. And they worked on their offensive and defensive line, and they were prepared. They were prepared to handle Baylor's offensive and defensive line. Let me turn that off. The actual air conditioning unit that goes to this RV is broken, so I bought this one, and the hose goes to the window, and you can't see that. So, but we don't need that on during the video, so that way you can actually hear me. Okay, Iowa State versus Iowa. Yeah, Iowa State won barely. It just Iowa didn't look good the week before, so I had to pick the Cyclones. So good for you, Matt Campbell. I don't think anybody doubted that OU would beat Kent State. So I'm glad that Gray is actually taken off as a running back. He's established himself as the number 1 running back for OU, which is what I predicted would happen. Oklahoma State did beat Arizona State. I talked about this the other day. I thought it was going to be 38-28. It ended up being 34-17. So I'm kind of glad I was wrong that OSU's defense did step up in the second half. They were pretty dominant. Trace Ford was a beast, and just the whole defensive line looked really, really good. They got much more pressure against Arizona State than they did against Central Michigan. Of course, Central Michigan ran that West Coast offense where the quarterback gets rid of the ball within 3 seconds every time. So, my only complaint about that is the fact that if you know they're going to run West Coast, then the defensive lineman has to push for a couple seconds and then get his hands up in the air as fast as he can to kind of disrupt the passing lanes for the quarterback. Central Michigan's quarterback's only 5'10", so if you can get your hands up in the air and block some of his ability to see passing lanes, you're going to disrupt that offense. So hopefully if we see that in the future, that's what they'll do. Obviously, TCU was going to beat Tarleton, so not a surprise there. Like I said, I have no idea. When I was writing this all out before I made my picks, I have no earthly idea why. Because Arizona may eventually become a Big 12 team, so I included them. I did pick Mississippi State to beat Arizona. I thought Mike Leach is doing a pretty good job at Michigan State with the Bulldogs, and they won convincingly. I did pick USC over Stanford. I think this shows us that USC is clearly better than they were a year ago. I want to see them against Utah and against Oregon, and can they be a true contender for the Pac-12? I think they can be, but you got to beat Utah, and you got to beat Oregon, you got to beat UCLA. You've got to beat the good teams of the Pac-12. I mean, Stanford's going to be okay this year, but and I picked Florida over Kentucky. I was wrong about that one. Clearly, the guy may be wearing number 15, but he's got some growing to do. He's not quite Tim Tebow yet, but he has the potential to be a great quarterback. Now, remember, I went on a limb and I said the winner of the Kentucky-Florida game was going to win the SEC East. They've got to beat Georgia, and that's going to be a tall order. So, but I put that out there. I'm just saying, I made that statement. I'm going to stick with it, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and if I'm right, I'm right. So, but I went 9-3, and I'm not trying to brag. What I'm trying to show you as a subscriber to the channel is that when I talk about sports, when I talk about football, I know what I'm talking about. I've learned under the learning tree of Robert Allen and Paul Catalina, and I've got the influence of my high school football coach. And when I was a kid, I used to watch the Inside the NFL, back when HBO was a part of basic cable. I learned a lot by watching Len Dawson and Nick Bonaconti. And so I feel like I bring some level of expertise to the table. I'm not just a normal fan. I'm not saying fans are bad or anything. I'm just saying there is some level of expertise there. So I've been a student of the game for a long time. And quite frankly, I am glad there's a move in the Big 12 to where teams are figuring out that, hey, I got to run the ball some. At least bare minimum, I have to be able to run the football so I can give my defense a break. And so when I saw Oklahoma State run more of a 6-minute offense instead of a 2-minute offense in the second half to try to, hey, we're ahead, let's finish this game off, let's get home. I was very, very happy to see Dominic Richardson get over 100 yards. So we've got to do more of that. Obviously, this next week, I think Friday, what I'll do is I'll make my predictions for Saturday. Gosh, there's some things I could talk about. I don't know if I want to talk about the whole thing with Scott Frost. Actually, take that back. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about Scott Frost, the whole situation in Nebraska, mainly because, as a disclaimer, I grew up in upstate New York. Now, granted, when I got out of the Army in 96, I moved to Oklahoma City, was there for a year, and then moved to Stillwater in 1997. So I've been around Oklahoma State for a long time. But I grew up in upstate New York. And yes, I was a Syracuse fan before they changed their name to the Orange. But one of the other teams that I always liked and respected was Nebraska. They wore the same colors as my high school, red and white. When they played OU every year, it was always the Saturday after Thanksgiving. I would watch that game. Here I was, a skinny little teenager in upstate New York. I was watching the Nebraska OU game. So I've been a fan of college football for a long time, and I always loved the option, running the football. The idea of the quarterback, is he going to keep it or is he going to pitch it? Of course, Syracuse used to run the option too. So to see Nebraska go from the heights that they used to be at to see where they are now, losing to Georgia Southern, it really breaks my heart. So I think I'll talk about that one tomorrow. I think that's a good topic for a video. It's just who are they going to go after as far as a coach? Who would be the best fit? Remember, Lincoln Riley wants to be Mr. Hollywood, so he went out to USC. But Nebraska's different. Nebraska's similar to Oklahoma State. You have to have the kind of Midwest values, work ethic, be a kind of a blue collar guy to fit in at Nebraska. People that eat sushi and do yoga, probably not a good fit at Nebraska. So nothing wrong with sushi. I actually like some of it, not all of it. There's nothing wrong with yoga. Of course, I prefer the way DDP does it, but that's a whole different video. But let me just say this in closing. I'm pleasantly surprised about KU. I'm excited to see how good they really are. Can they make a bowl game? That's going to be exciting to see as we come up, Is Kansas State as good as everybody's saying they are? I think they're a sleeper contender for the Big 12. Is Texas Tech as good as? Who knows? If they beat North Carolina State, they may show that they're legit. I still think Baylor is good. Can they bounce back from this loss? How good is Iowa State? I mean, they didn't look great against Iowa. They did enough to win, but, And, for OU versus Nebraska next Saturday. Oh, my gosh. Is that a trap? Of course, I'm a little bit of a nerd. I like Star Wars. I remember in Return of the Jedi and that one admiral with the weird eyes and so forth. It's a trap! Is this game for OU against Nebraska, going to Lincoln, maybe the players will rally behind the new coach. Remember, they've never had an African-American coach at Nebraska before. Never. Any sport. They've never had it before. So maybe the players will rally behind this guy. Stranger things have happened. Heck, Texas almost beat Alabama last week. How good can Sonny Dykes turn, or how quickly can Sonny Dykes turn things around at TCU? That'll be something to look forward to as we get into the actual meat of the season, where we actually see conference games. So, anyway, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you to my subscribers. Thank you to the new subscribers, especially. Welcome to Cowboy Country. If you wear orange and black, even if you didn't finish your degree, you're a part of Cowboy Country, and I appreciate you, and I want to say thank you. So if you are new, please hit like and subscribe. We wanted this channel to grow, and that way I can get good content about Oklahoma State out there. And basically, some of the national pundits don't quite get it yet. But if you watched the OSU Arizona State game, you know how good Oklahoma State's defensive line is. And you know also how the offensive line has improved, because the run blocking in the second half was much better than compared to when they played Central Michigan. So I am assuming things are going to get even better and better as the year goes on. So until tomorrow night, I hope you have a good evening.